Welcome to Annette's mini quilt show. I hope you enjoyed the display. Here is my first display. It has an original quilt here and highlighted with flags made out of fall fabric. And here is a mini quilt. It started as an orphan block and I put a border around it. This second stage has a mini quilt that is made from an orphan block, plus a few flags that were made to brighten up the scene. Next, we have 3 original quilts, this blue and white one, the fall one, and this purple and pink one. Then we have a vintage orphan block that was bordered and put as a mini quilt. And then this is an orphan block with the little snowman. Next, we have some bakers here, cooks and bakers. And they're displaying vintage orphan blocks that have been put, a border put around them. Then we have another set of festive party goers here that are enhanced with these little vintage mini quilts. They are log cabin blocks that are orphans that have been had a border put on them and added a little flag for a little more flavor of fall. Our next display is of Royal Oak Farm stand. I made this little stand from a silverware holder tray, and then this was a little box that a gift came in. And these boxes here are matchboxes with beads, and then this whole little scene is highlighted with the mini quilt. The little quilts add so much to the scene. This is like a panel quilt. It's a print that cut out the picture and then put a pumpkin border around it. And then you have the little dolls, and when you put it all together, it's just really sweet. This fall display has a teacher with the students. We think of fall, leaves turning colors, and children going back to school, and highlighted with this accent piece, which is an orphan block with a border. A little bit of touch of fall with the homemade flags, and you have a sweet, darling scene. Here is Miss Peppermint. She's peering out the window to say hello. She's covered with peppermint, has peppermint on the tree, but her prized possession is right here in the front, her little panel quilt. Here we have a set of Christmas celebrators, and they are highlighted with 3 panel quilts in the back. It gives the scene a sweet little touch to have the mini quilts there. This next row is another set of partiers. They're celebrating with their trees and gifts. And in the back we have 5 miniature panel quilts. It just gives a nice touch of decoration. The next set is of the Salvation Army Band, and because their uniforms are red, white, and blue, I chose to do the red, white, and blue mini quilts in the back. The 3 stars are actually orphan blocks that have been trimmed with a border. And then this one right here was the original one that I picked up at a thrift store for a few dollars, and I just fell in love with it, and it started this whole scene with that one quilt. And then this last one is the Nutcrackers, and the dolls' colors have a lot of maroon and pink, so I chose panel quilts that have the maroon and pink type color in it. This scene is highlighted with all these quilts. It is a mixture of panel quilts, the little snowman, and the one at the top are all panel quilts. These light purple ones are orphan blocks that were made into quilts. And then on this side, we have vintage log cabin blocks that were made into mini quilts. Then these are also a different log cabin block that was a vintage block that I trimmed with vintage fabric. And this is an original mini quilt. Plus, this is from our own Kim Rogers. She donated this to the Guild Garage Sale and I picked it up. It was just a precious little quilt, and it makes like a tree skirt for the tree. So the little mini quilts just really accent the scene that's going on. Here is our grand finale. We start off with Susie Q. She is at the top of our swivel tree. Then we drop down to the second shelf, and we have Santa in his toy workshop, accented with an original mini quilt. And here's Mr. Carpenter to say hello with all his wares. He has some beautiful olive wood nativity and trinkets. Then we drop down to shelf 3, and here's Material Girl selling her wares. She's got this orphan block that has been made into a quilt, and then I embellished the edge with some feathering. She's got all of her fabric, her notions, more fabric for sale, and her tree with all kinds of little ornaments that have to do with sewing. It's a quilt, bobbin, machine, little pair of scissors. But the quilt is the piece that helps set everything off. And here's Mr. Lumberjack with his moose. And behind here is a tree quilt to go with Mr. Lumberjack. It was an orphan block turned into a mini quilt. Here's Miss Mosley's bakery. She has all of her baked goods for sale, cookies, treats, and it's accented, and it gives it like a little, makes it more like a little room by having this panel quilt right here in the back. Okay, we're going to drop down to the last shelf here. And here's Santa in his toy workshop. Have all these detailed little ornaments and the lights. But look right back here. It's a little quilt that's just a little panel quilt. It helps set off and finish the room. Here's another Santa. No shortage of Santa at Christmas time. Here's a little miniature tree with the horn for the baby, but look right back here. We have another panel quilt that helps touch off and finish the room. And last but not least, we have a little nativity scene here with 2 orphan blocks as the stars. I chose this one because of the color. Her dress has pink in it, so I chose the pink and purple. So I hope you've enjoyed Annette's mini quilt show. Let me know if you want to come by and see it in person. Take care.